Victoria Harper stood outside the emerald room, clutching a bouquet of yellow tulips against her emerald green dress. Her best friend Rachel had insisted on this blind date setup, promising that this mystery man was perfect for her. At 27, Victoria felt ridiculous, carrying flowers like some character from a romance novel. But Rachel had been adamant about the identification method. The restaurant sparkled with crystal chandeliers and polished marble floors. Victoria had never been to such an expensive place. As a marketing coordinator at Pierce Industries, she usually ate lunch at her desk while reviewing campaign proposals. Tonight felt like stepping into someone else's life. An elegant mix-up hostess, a woman with perfectly styled auburn hair, greeted Victoria with a practiced smile. She consulted her reservation list and nodded. Victoria followed her through the dining room, past tables filled with couples engaged in intimate conversations. The scent of fresh flowers and expensive perfume filled the air. They approached a corner table near the window, where a man sat studying a leather menu. He wore a charcoal suit that fit him perfectly, and his dark brown hair showed just a hint of gray at the temples. Something about his posture seemed familiar, but Victoria could not quite place it. The hostess cleared her throat softly. The man looked up, and Victoria felt her stomach drop to her feet. Nathan Pierce, the CEO of the entire company where she had worked for 18 months, recognition and surprise for several heartbeats. Neither of them spoke. Victoria watched shock flicker across Nathan's handsome face before he composed himself with remarkable speed. His blue eyes met hers with an expression she had never seen during their brief professional interactions. She should apologize. She should explain the mistake. She should turn around and find her actual table. But her feet refused to move. Nathan closed his menu slowly and stood, his 6-foot frame towering over the table. Victoria noticed details she had never observed before. The small scar above his left eyebrow, the way his eyes crinkled slightly at the corners, the strong line of his jaw. "Miss Harper," he said, his voice carrying a warmth she had never heard at the office. "Please sit down." Victoria found her voice finally. "Mr. Pierce, there has been a terrible mistake. I am supposed to meet someone here for dinner. I think the hostess brought me to the wrong table. A gentleman's invitation. Are you certain about that?" Nathan gestured to the chair across from him. "The hostess brought you here specifically. Perhaps the universe has a sense of humor tonight." Victoria's mind raced through a dozen scenarios. She should leave immediately. This was her boss. This was inappropriate. This was a disaster waiting to happen. Yet something in his expression stopped her from fleeing. There was no judgment in his eyes, no discomfort. Just genuine curiosity and what appeared to be amusement. "I really should not interrupt your evening," she managed to say, still clutching the yellow tulips like a lifeline. "You are not interrupting anything at all." Nathan pulled out her chair with old-fashioned courtesy. "I was supposed to meet a business partner who canceled 30 minutes ago. So this table is technically available, and you arrived with flowers that matched the centerpiece quite beautifully." Almost without realizing it, Victoria found herself sitting down. She placed the tulips carefully on the table between them. Suddenly aware of how childish the identification method seemed, "Breaking the ice, these are supposed to help my blind date recognize me," she explained, feeling heat rise to her cheeks. "My friend Rachel arranged everything. She said carrying flowers would make things simple." "Very thoughtful," Nathan replied, settling back into his seat. "Though I must say using flowers as identification seems wonderfully old-fashioned. Most people just rely on profile pictures these days. Rachel does not trust technology much." Victoria felt herself relaxing slightly, despite the absurdity of the situation. "This is absolutely mortifying, you realize. Now you know that my friends think I need help meeting people." Nathan laughed, a genuine sound that transformed his usually serious face. Victoria had seen him in countless meetings, always professional and controlled. She had never witnessed this side of him. "Miss Harper, you are 27 and building an impressive career. There is nothing embarrassing about having friends who care about your happiness," he said. "Besides, most people our age are using dating applications. A personal recommendation from a friend seems refreshing by comparison." An unexpected Proposition A waiter appeared beside their table, carrying 2 wine glasses on a silver tray. "Compliments of the house, Mr. Pierce," Your usual selection. Nathan accepted both glasses and offered one to Victoria. Two unexpected encounters, he said, raising his glass slightly. She clinked hers against his, the crystal making a pleasant ringing sound. Two wrong tables, she added with a small smile. The wine was exceptional, cool and crisp on her tongue. Victoria took a longer sip than she intended, trying to process the surreal situation. So tell me, Nathan said, leaning back with an ease she had never observed at the office. What made you agree to this blind date? You do not seem like someone who struggles to meet people. Victoria considered giving a diplomatic answer, and decided the situation was already too strange for pretense. Honestly, I have been so focused on my career that I have not dated anyone seriously in over a year. Rachel says I am married to my work and need to remember how to have a personal life. That sounds remarkably familiar, Nathan said quietly. Something shifted in his expression, a vulnerability that made him seem more human. I have heard similar observations from people who care about me. A dangerous proposal, really. Victoria caught herself. I apologize. That was too personal a question. No, it is perfectly fine. We are not at the office right now, are we? Nathan paused as the waiter returned with leather-bound menus. For tonight, could we simply be two people having dinner together? Not CEO and employee. Just Nathan and Victoria. The suggestion hung in the air between them, loaded with implications. Every professional instinct Victoria possessed screamed warnings, but something about the genuine interest in his eyes, the way he looked at her like she was someone worth knowing rather than just an employee, made her nod slowly. To people having dinner, she repeated. I think I can manage that. The evening unfolded in ways Victoria never could have imagined. Monday morning arrived with bright sunshine streaming through the glass walls of Pierce Industries. Victoria stepped off the elevator onto the 15th floor, her heart beating faster than normal. She had barely slept all weekend, replaying every moment of Friday evening in her mind. The office hummed with its usual energy. Assistants hurried past carrying folders and coffee cups. Phones rang constantly, creating a symphony of workplace noise. Everything appeared exactly as it always had. Except Victoria felt like she was walking through a world that had shifted beneath her feet. She set her leather bag down at her desk in the marketing department and powered up her computer. Through the glass walls of the conference room, she could see Nathan already in a meeting with the finance team. He wore a navy suit today, and his expression was focused and professional. Her stomach did a small flip. Stolen glances. Good morning, Victoria. She jumped at the sound of her colleague Brandon's voice. He stood beside her desk, holding two coffee cups, offering one to her with his usual friendly smile. Morning, Brandon. Thank you for the coffee, she said, accepting it gratefully. You look tired. Late weekend? He asked, settling into the chair beside her desk. Just could not sleep much. Too much on my mind, Victoria replied, which was entirely true. Throughout the morning, Victoria tried to focus on her work. She had 3 campaign proposals to review and a presentation to prepare for the following week, but her concentration kept breaking. Twice, she caught herself staring at nothing, remembering the way Nathan had laughed at her stories during dinner. The hallway encounter around 11. Victoria walked to the break room for more coffee. The hallway was empty and quiet, most people already in their mid-morning meetings. She was pouring cream into her cup when she heard footsteps behind her. Miss Harper. Victoria turned to find Nathan standing in the doorway. He looked professional and composed, but something in his eyes reminded her of Friday night. They were alone for the first time since their unexpected dinner, Mr. Pierce, she said, keeping her voice neutral. Can I help you with something? He stepped into the break room, closing the door behind him. The small space suddenly felt much smaller. I wanted to talk about Friday evening. Victoria set down her coffee cup, her hands suddenly unsteady. That was a strange coincidence. I think we should probably forget it happened and maintain our professional relationship. An honest confession? What if I do not want to forget it? Nathan moved closer, though he maintained a respectful distance. I spent the entire weekend thinking about our conversation. The way you laughed when I told that terrible story about the investor who fell asleep during my presentation. How your eyes lit up when you talked about your dream of opening your own marketing firm someday, Mr. Pierce. This is not appropriate. Victoria glanced at the closed door nervously. You are the CEO. I work for this company. There are rules about this sort of thing. I know. Believe me, I have read every line of our company handbook this weekend. He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture of frustration she had never seen him make. But I also know that I have not felt this comfortable talking to anyone in years. That has to mean something. Victoria felt her resolve wavering. What exactly are you suggesting? Nothing that would compromise your position here. Nathan's voice was earnest, almost pleading. Just coffee sometimes. Lunch, occasionally. Two people getting to know each other outside these walls. No pressure. No expectations. Just friendship. The dangerous line friendship between a CEO and an employee is complicated, Victoria said quietly. People talk. They make assumptions. My reputation could be damaged. Then we will be discreet. Nathan met her eyes directly. I'm not asking you to risk anything important to you. I am just asking for a chance to see if what I felt Friday night was real. Before Victoria could respond, voices echoed in the hallway outside. They both stepped apart instinctively. Nathan straightened his tie and transformed back into the professional CEO she knew from meetings. Think about it, he said softly, then opened the door and walked out. Victoria stood alone in the break room, her coffee forgotten, her mind spinning. Secret meetings, the week progressed in a careful dance. At the office, Victoria and Nathan maintained perfect professionalism. She attended meetings, contributed to campaigns, and worked late on projects. He ran his company, made decisions, and led with his usual confidence. To anyone watching, nothing had changed. But small things were different. Their eyes met more often across conference rooms. When Nathan passed Victoria's desk, he would slow his pace slightly. She began noticing details about him she had never observed before. The way he listened intently when people spoke. How he always remembered small details about employees' lives. The quiet kindness beneath his professional exterior. On Wednesday evening, Victoria was working late on a campaign proposal when Nathan appeared at her desk. Most of the office had emptied hours ago, leaving just the hum of computers and distant traffic sounds. You should go home. It is almost 9 o'clock, he said, carrying his briefcase. Just finishing this presentation for the Thompson account. It needs to be ready for tomorrow's client meeting, Victoria replied, without looking up from her screen. An evening walk, Nathan set down his briefcase and looked at her work. You have been here since 7 this morning? That is 14 hours, says the man who arrived at 6:30. Victoria countered with a small smile. Fair point. He smiled back. Walk with me. I am heading out, and I dislike leaving you here alone in an empty building. They rode the elevator down in comfortable silence. Outside, the city was alive with evening energy. Street vendors sold roasted chestnuts and pretzels. Taxis honked their constant melody. People rushed past toward restaurants and theaters. There is a small cafe 3 blocks from here, Nathan said as they walked. They make the best apple tart in the city. Have you eaten dinner? Not yet, but you do not need to worry about me, Victoria replied. I am hungry. You are hungry. We both need food. It is just dinner between colleagues, he said with a slight smile. Nothing complicated about that. The CAF conversation. The cafe was a cozy place with warm lighting and wooden tables, worn smooth by years of use. The owner, an elderly man with kind eyes and a thick Italian accent, greeted Nathan like an old friend. Mr. Pierce, your usual table? And who is this lovely lady? A colleague. We are just grabbing a quick dinner after work, Nathan explained. They sat at a small table near the window. The owner brought them apple tarts and strong coffee without asking for their order. Victoria took a bite and closed her eyes appreciatively. This is incredible, she said. My father used to bring me here when I was young, Nathan said quietly. Before the company consumed his entire life, this place reminds me that there is more to existence than quarterly reports and board meetings. Do you miss him? Victoria asked gently. Every single day. Nathan's voice carried old pain. He had this gift for making everyone feel important. The janitor received the same respect as the board chairman. He treated people like they mattered, regardless of their position. Understanding each other, you do the same thing, Victoria said. I have watched you with employees. You remember names? Ask about their families? Actually listen when people talk. That is not something you can fake. Nathan looked at her with such gratitude that it made her chest ache. How do you see things so clearly? Cut through all the performance to what matters. Maybe because I am not distracted by being you. I just get to observe from the outside, Victoria said. You are harder on yourself than you need to be. They talked until the cafe owner began stacking chairs on tables. The conversation flowed from childhood memories to abandoned dreams to fears they rarely admitted aloud. Victoria learned that Nathan played guitar but had not touched one in 5 years. He discovered that she wrote poetry in leather journals she kept hidden in her apartment. The growing connection walking back toward the subway. They moved slower than necessary. Neither wanted the evening to end. The city lights reflected off puddles from an earlier rain, making the sidewalk sparkle. Same time tomorrow? Nathan asked when they reached the station entrance. This is becoming a pattern, Victoria observed. Is that a problem? He asked, his blue eyes searching hers. Victoria smiled despite her better judgment. No, it is not a problem at all. Thursday brought chaos to Pierce Industries. Their largest client threatened to pull $1 million account over a miscommunication about campaign deliverables. The entire marketing team scrambled to fix the situation. Victoria worked alongside Nathan for 12 straight hours. They fielded angry phone calls, drafted apologetic emails, and restructured the entire campaign proposal. They moved together with an efficiency that surprised even them, anticipating each other's needs without speaking. Crisis management. By the time they saved the account, it was nearly midnight. The office was empty except for them, lit only by desk lamps and computer screens. Nathan loosened his tie and collapsed into a chair in Victoria's workspace. We did it, he said, exhaustion clear in his voice. You did it. I just helped with the details, Victoria replied, saving the final version of their proposal. No, we did this together. Nathan looked at her with something deeper than professional appreciation. You were brilliant today. The way you handled the client's marketing director when she called upset, I have never seen anything like it. You just listened and validated her concerns and somehow turned her into our biggest supporter. The confession people just want to feel heard and understood, Victoria said simply. Most conflicts come from feeling dismissed or invisible. That is exactly what I mean. Nathan stood and moved closer to her desk. You understand human nature in a way that takes most people decades to learn. You have this gift for connection. Victoria felt the air between them change, becoming charged with something electric and dangerous. Nathan, should probably call it a night, she said softly. It is late, and we both need rest. I need to tell you something first. His voice was low and intense. This week, trying to be just friends and colleagues, it is not working for me. Her heart began hammering. What do you mean? Breaking point, I mean that every time I see you, I want more. More conversation. More time. More of whatever this connection is between us. Nathan was close enough now that she could see the fatigue and honesty in his eyes. Friday night was not just a pleasant coincidence. It was the first time in years I felt like myself instead of the role everyone expects me to play. Victoria stood, putting them at eye level. What I feel does not matter? You are the CEO. I am a marketing coordinator. If anyone discovered we were even having these conversations, my credibility would be destroyed completely. People would say, I slept my way into opportunities, that I am using you for career advancement. My entire professional reputation would become a joke. Then I will eliminate the power imbalance, Nathan said with fierce determination. I will have someone else oversee the marketing department. You will report to the chief operating officer instead of me. Or better yet, I will promote you to a senior position in a different department entirely. You will be my equal in standing, not my subordinate. An impossible situation, you cannot restructure the entire company because of personal feelings, Victoria protested. That is insane. Watch me, Nathan said. I have spent 15 years building this company. I have sacrificed relationships, hobbies, and any semblance of personal life. I have done everything expected of me. For once, I want to do something just because it makes me happy. And you make me happy, Victoria." The intensity in his voice made her breath catch. "This is not that simple. Even if you changed my reporting structure, people would still talk. They would still make assumptions. The gossip alone could poison the work environment. Let them talk." Nathan's hand reached out, stopping just short of touching her face. "I am tired of living my life based on what other people think. I am tired of being alone because it is safer. I am tired of pretending that." Friday night did not change something fundamental for me. Victoria's fear. Victoria felt tears threatening. "You are asking me to risk everything I have worked for, every bit of credibility I have built, every professional relationship I have cultivated. That is not a small thing, I know. And if you tell me right now that you feel nothing, that Friday night meant nothing to you, I will walk away." Nathan's voice softened. "I will maintain perfect professionalism. I will never mention this again. But if there is even a chance that you feel something too, then maybe it is worth exploring carefully and honestly." Victoria looked at him. This powerful man who was offering to append his carefully constructed world for a possibility. She thought about Friday night, about the conversations that had made her feel seen and understood, about the way her heart raced when he walked into a room, about how the world felt brighter when they talked. "The decision I feel something," she admitted quietly. "But feeling something and acting on it are two different things. I need time to think about this, to figure out if the risk is worth taking." Nathan nodded slowly, disappointment and understanding mixing in his expression. "Take all the time you need. I am not going anywhere." He gathered his things and walked to the door, then paused and turned back. "Just know that whatever you decide, your job is secure. Your career is safe. I would never let my personal feelings affect your professional life. You have my word on that?" Then he was gone, leaving Victoria alone in the silent office with a decision that could change everything. Victoria spent the entire weekend in her apartment, alternating between pacing and sitting frozen on her couch. Her phone buzzed constantly with messages from Rachel, demanding to know how the blind date had gone. Victoria had not told her best friend the truth yet. How could she explain that she had accidentally met her boss, and now everything was complicated? Saturday afternoon, Rachel showed up at her door with takeout food and wine, refusing to be ignored any longer. "Okay, spill everything," Rachel demanded, setting bags of Chinese food on the coffee table. "You have been avoiding my calls for a week. Either the date was amazing or terrible, and I need details." "It was complicated," Victoria said, accepting a glass of wine, confiding in a friend. Rachel's eyes narrowed. "Complicated how? Did he turn out to be married a criminal? What?" "He turned out to be Nathan Pierce, my boss, the CEO of my company," Victoria said quietly. Rachel's mouth fell open. She set down her wine glass carefully. "You are joking. Please tell me you are joking. I wish I was." Victoria explained the whole story, the wrong table, the decision to have dinner anyway, the conversations throughout the week, Nathan's confession on Thursday night. By the time she finished, Rachel was staring at her with a mixture of shock and concern. "Victoria, this is serious. You could lose your job over this," Rachel said carefully. "Office romances are tricky enough, but when there is a power imbalance like this, it becomes dangerous territory, I know." "That is why I have not given him an answer yet," Victoria replied. "Part of me wants to explore this connection. It felt so real, Rachel. Like I was finally seen as a complete person instead of just an employee or a role. But the rational part of my brain knows this could destroy my career. Weighing the options, what does your heart tell you?" Rachel asked gently. Victoria was quiet for a long moment. "My heart says that I have never connected with anyone the way I connected with him. That the conversations we had meant something important. That maybe some risks are worth taking. In your head? My head says I am being foolish. That I am risking everything I have worked for. That office gossip alone could make my work life miserable." Victoria rubbed her temples. "I built my career through hard work and dedication. I do not want people thinking I took shortcuts or used relationships to advance. Rachel reached over and squeezed her hand. You know what I think? I think you need to talk to him honestly about your fears. Set clear boundaries. Figure out if this is worth pursuing in a way that protects both of you. Monday morning decision. Monday morning arrived too quickly. Victoria. Dressed carefully in a professional gray suit, as if armor could protect her from the decision she needed to make. She arrived at the office early, before most employees, and sent Nathan a message requesting a private meeting. He responded immediately, asking her to come to his office at 8 o'clock. Victoria knocked on his door exactly at 8. Nathan looked up from his computer, and she saw the same sleepless exhaustion she felt reflected in his face. Come in, please. Close the door, he said quietly. An honest conversation. Victoria sat in the chair across from his desk, maintaining professional distance. I have been thinking about what you said Thursday night, about everything. Nathan set down his pen and gave her his complete attention. I am listening. If we are going to explore this connection, we need clear boundaries and complete honesty, Victoria began. I cannot risk my professional reputation without protection. I cannot be the subject of office gossip or have people questioning my competence. Agreed completely. Nathan leaned forward. What do you need from me? First, my reporting structure needs to change immediately. I report to someone else, someone with no connection to you professionally, Victoria said. Second, we keep this completely private until we know if this relationship has real potential. No public displays, no favoritism, nothing that could be misconstrued. Setting boundaries done. What else? Nathan asked. If this does not work out, we need an exit strategy that protects both of us professionally. I will not be forced to leave my job because a relationship ended, Victoria continued. And if at any point the workplace environment becomes toxic due to gossip or assumptions, we end things immediately. Nathan nodded seriously. Those are all reasonable requests. I will have HR process your department transfer today, he will report. Directly to Jennifer Martinez, our Chief Marketing Officer. She is smart, fair, and has no connection to me outside of professional respect. Jennifer is brilliant. I would be happy to work under her supervision, Victoria said, feeling some tension ease from her shoulders. The leap of faith, anything else? Nathan asked. Victoria took a deep breath. Yes, one more thing. You need to understand that I am terrified. I have never done anything like this. I have never risked my career for a relationship. I need you to be patient with me. To understand if I pull back sometimes or need space. Nathan's expression softened. Victoria, I am terrified too. I have not been in a real relationship in 6 years. I have no idea how to balance personal feelings with professional responsibilities. We will figure this out together, making mistakes and learning as we go. So we are really doing this? Victoria asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Only if you want to. Nathan met her eyes directly. I need you to choose this freely, without pressure. If you have any doubts, we stop right now. Victoria thought about the conversations that had made her feel alive. About the way Nathan looked at her like she mattered beyond her job title. About the risk and the possibility and the terrifying leap into unknown territory. The company announcement I want to try, she said finally. Carefully and honestly, with all the boundaries we discussed, I want to see if this connection is real. The smile that spread across Nathan's face was worth every bit of fear she felt. 2 weeks later, the company announced a restructuring of the marketing department. Victoria Harper was promoted to senior marketing strategist, reporting directly to Jennifer Martinez. The change was presented as part of a larger efficiency initiative, and most employees barely noticed. Nathan and Victoria began seeing each other outside of work. Coffee on Saturday mornings, walks through Central Park on Sunday afternoons, quiet dinners at small restaurants, far from the office. They moved slowly, getting to know each other without the pressure of work dynamics, growing. Together, Victoria discovered that Nathan was thoughtful and funny when he relaxed. He loved old movies, played guitar beautifully when convinced to pick one up, and volunteered at a youth center every other weekend. He learned that Victoria was passionate about social justice, wrote poetry that made him think differently about the world, and had dreams of starting her own marketing firm someday. They kept their relationship private, sharing it only with close friends. At work, they maintained professional distance. Victoria excelled in her new position, proving her promotion was based entirely on merit. Nathan led the company with his usual excellence, never showing favoritism. But 3 months into their relationship, trouble arrived in an unexpected form. The gossip begins. Victoria was in the break room when she overheard 2 colleagues talking in hushed voices. They did not notice her standing around the corner, hidden by a large plant. "I heard she is sleeping with Pierce," one voice said. "That is how she got promoted so fast." "Come on, that is just a rumor." "Jennifer would not allow that kind of favoritism," the other voice replied. "Where there is smoke, there is fire. Nobody gets promoted that quickly without some kind of connection." "And have you noticed how Pierce looks at her sometimes?" Victoria felt her blood run cold. Her worst fear was coming true. She set down her coffee cup and walked away before they could discover her presence. Confronting reality that evening, she met Nathan at his apartment. He could tell immediately that something was wrong. "What happened?" he asked, guiding her to sit on his couch. Victoria told him about the conversation she had overheard. As she spoke, she watched his expression transform from concern to anger. "Who were they?" "I will have HR address this immediately," Nathan said, his voice tight. "No, that will only make it worse." Victoria shook her head. "It will look like you are protecting me, which will confirm their suspicions." "This is exactly what I was afraid of. The difficult choices, so what do you want to do?" Nathan asked carefully. Victoria was quiet for a long moment. "I think we need to be more public about our relationship. Not flaunt it, but stop hiding. Let people see that this is real and that my work stands on its own merit. That could make things harder for you in the short term," Nathan warned. "People will talk more, not less. Let them talk." Victoria met his eyes. "I am tired of hiding. Tired of worrying about every glance and every conversation. If we are going to be together, we need to own it honestly." Nathan reached for her